Hearthstone Grandmasters continues with match number 4 here in the second day of the third week. Rase versus Dog. A battle between Latin America and North America, and also between specifically two warriors that will be a little bit interesting to see how they adapt to each other. The first, of course, that we want to highlight is the top end, which is one deck has Archivist Elysiana, which is Dog, and one does not. Therefore, Rase will be behind in the race.
Yes, and out of all the Warrior Mirror matchups we've seen thus far over the first 3 weeks of Grandmasters, I'm pretty sure non-Archivist Elysiana decks have only beaten Archivist Elysiana decks twice.
Wow.
Yes, and there's been a lot of them, Dan. There's been 10 plus, I think.
You mean in Warrior Mirror?
In Warrior Mirror, specifically, yes. It is very difficult to do. Your only win condition is the pressure game plan, which means try and get a lot of bombs in early, get tempo with your minions, follow that up with Blastmaster Boom, and kill them. Like, that's it. You're not going to win in fatigue most of the time. It is just a very difficult matchup to navigate. So game 1 advantage definitely goes to Dog. But Rase does have some tools that can help him fight. He does have the full bomb package with double Augmented Elec, double Clockwork Goblin, double Range Caliber, and that Blastmaster Boom.
And I love his secondary deck. He's got Karen, Grom, obviously the Elysiana just in case, but that might even come to play. It might just be the 5, 6, 7, 8 with the Seathorium Bombers, the Karen, the Blastmaster Boom, and Grom.
Yep. And
we have seen that close games. Dog, by the way, almost atop the standings, right behind Monsanto in second place at the division at 3-1. This is his third week playing Warrior. Rase has switched from Warrior
to Paladin,
then back to Warrior.
Yeah.
But I do know that Rase has also been very critical of himself, even on social media, talking about some of his plays over the past couple of weeks. And I think that, that there's one, that's great to see such transparency, but two, also just very relatable, even at this level. They were very critical of their mistakes and trying to find ways to improve. Meanwhile, being stuck at whatever rank 15 I'm at, TJ, I'm always like, I just got unlucky next game. Don't even think about it, right? That's Hearthstone. Couldn't do anything about it. And it's like, I'm pretty sure I could have done everything different about it.
Yeah, I maybe play like, I don't know, 100 ladder games a week at maximum. And
That's a lot.
I know. Maximum. Some weeks I have less.
Oh yeah, I play maximum 100,000 ladder games a week. Just want to point that out.
Okay. But I learned more from the 3 hours of practice that we have on Thursday mornings.
Yes.
Like that's how crazy it is. How little information I absorb from mindlessly grinding ladder games after a day of work.
Well, because you're trying
for 2 hours at night before I have to feed my son.
You have different objectives. When you play a lot of ladder games in one sitting, you're trying to climb ranks.
Well,
versus when you play in the bullpen, we're trying to learn.
Yeah, but not even that. I'm trying to learn, but I'm trying to learn by brute force repetition instead of recognizing the nuance of matchups, which is not as effective. So that's why, especially with these players, when they're given, they submit on Wednesday mornings, and then they have a little less than 2 days to prep, or Thursday mornings, apologies. And so they have a little bit more than 24 hours to prep for their first match of the week. So that's when they have to have that targeted practice. And that's really important for understanding matchups in totality. And that's why players like Muzzy and players like Buddyface saying they started practicing against themselves, because if they have understanding of the matchups on both sides, it is the most efficient way to practice, because you don't have to rely on other people's schedules. You don't have to rely on them being unfamiliar with matchups. What was the point of that conversation? How did that even start? We were talking about Warriors.
We were trying to talk about improving.
Oh, improving. Okay.
And I was like, I feel like, whatever rank I'm playing at sometimes, it's hard to get that mentality of improving, and why I respect racing.
For some reason, I had that questioning my self-satisfaction with the point I was making, and then I thought back and I was like, what? How did we even get started on this conversation? Meanwhile, a match is happening.
Yeah, loosely speaking. So the early game so far has been the Town Crier and the Militia Commander with the Wrench Caliber from Dog. He utilized his coin to get the Wrench Caliber out early. And I think this is a recognition on both sides that tempo is important. Rase, of course, shaking his head like, he just drew the Militia Commander number 2, but one Militia Commander perhaps deserves another. This will pull the Ziliax from the deck list. The most interesting play so far this game that's happened is Rase not saving Omega Devastator for the late game, instead playing it on 4. And I think that's a nod to show that the Warrior matchup has largely transitioned away from the late game controlling style, and a lot of players instead are opting for more aggressive mid-range pressure against their opponent. You just stack reasonably sized threats like 3 and 4 attack minions and pressure just enough to make bombs really press in and get that final blow, you know, punctuated by yesterday when Frozen drew like 4 bombs in 5 cards. It was like pretty ridiculous when he had like 12 cards remaining in his deck.
Now with the Elysiana versus non-Elysiana
oh my gosh,
matchup in particular, you can also just never count. Oh wow, okay, so that's now if he swings with this Wrench Caliber, it's 4 bombs at Race's deck.
Yeah, it's a very nice pick up there from Dog.
Wait, 5 bombs. First swing is Wrench Caliber, Clockwork Goblin, and then the second swing is Wrench Caliber, 5 bombs.
Correct.
Okay, now 4 bombs. I was correct. I was just living in the future. So a fully loaded Blastmaster Boom.
TJ, tell me, if you're from the future, what happens in this game? What's the series? Who wins?
Well, Dog wins game 1. That's as far as I can look.
Gotcha. Will I ever find true love?
Dan, maybe you already have.
You had to look inside the whole time.
Love yourself, Dan. That's all I can say.
One thing at a time, all right? You're asking me to cast Warrior Mirrors, then you're asking me to love myself. 2 impossibilities. Dr. Boom comes down with a fully loaded Boombot arsenal, and now Rase has to answer it with that Brawl, most likely. Hope that the 7/7 goes down, but he's going to take some Boombot damage.
Yeah, or he can answer with his own Blastmaster Boom and get a whopping 0 Boombots.
He can play War Golem.
It's worse than War Golem because it dies to Dinomatic.
Well, what's really bad about this spot too is Rase doesn't even have the guarantee of like surviving the next couple turns here if he takes too much Boombot damage. All right, so he's gonna take 5 Boombots. 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 damage.
Oh,
not
what?
too bad.
That's very low.
Yeah, that's definitely below average. The average damage of Boombot is 2.5. So it should generally deal around 14 or 15 damage. The Rase definitely got on the low side of things. Very fortunate outcome.
But still 4 bombs in his deck, so...
Yeah, Rase should be more closer to around 10 life. Dude, Dog is drawing just straight fire. Although, I think he'd... Actually, now that I think about it, he'd much rather have tempo options rather than just giving up the board. Because he's close to killing Rase. So, it is actually not as good as you might think it is.
But because he has just the deck list advantage in general, like any which way you slice it, he's going to be ahead.
Well, this Ziliax has a lot of room for big life swing, which is something that is being considered like as the meta continues to evolve.
Blastmaster Boom's not a callback card at all.
It's just Dr. Boom. Dog has the Dynamatic for the easy trade, and even going to go for the Brawl right now, which makes sense. This is probably one of the best uses of Brawl. Whose Boombot survived? Whew. 7 damage Boombots.
And that's pretty much Rase's pressure diffused. He does have double Omega Assembly, so has a lot of a big way to refill his hand. Needs some type of aggression.
What I like about Safeguard is it stops Dog from being able to directly attack him if he picks up another wrench caliber. Now Dog has the opportunity to strike back finally at 10 mana crystals himself. Wrench caliber picked up. Clockwork Goblin.
But Boom Reaver is also good. But he already has 4 bombs in the deck.
Right. And there's even a case for the Stegatron right now just to answer the 4/5.
Ah, that's true. Just gonna go with the biggest thing. I might do Omega Assembly first.
He might play Rich Caliber in this.
Ah,
I think Dog just wants to aggro Rase down. Again, this is kind of just showing the evolution of the matchup. It's not super slow and defensive. It's pressure. With Rase having multiple bombs in his deck, he's really afraid that he might not even be able to survive. Mad Genius. He also has a Zilliax opportunity this turn. You can also Omega Assembly first to see what you get. Maybe you're able to find even better outcome. I think there's a handful of mechs that'd be really good, like Vicious Scrap Hound. So you could attach that to Zilliax, you kill the 4/5, and then you get 10 life.
Oh, Weaponized Pinata.
That's pretty good for the Zilliax too. It's 4 damage.
Well,
so.
also, it just has the chance to give Rase something that could help him in the fatigue matchup. It could give him an Archivist Elysiana.
I mean,
could give him a Toki Time Tinker.
You're right.
It could give him an Archivist Elysiana.
I don't really think that it's going to come down to the fatigue plan, but it's nice to have that as a backup option.
Well, maybe not fatigue option, but we've always talked about the threat of Elysiana is often more important than Elysiana actually the effect.
True.
And Dog, knowing that he can kind of play more liberally because he can fall back on Elysiana, and not knowing that Rase would have it, is a pretty big deal.
Scrap Hound is picked up on Dog's end. Looking for Omega Devastator, does not find anything. If he would find the Bulldozer a little bit earlier, he'd be able to chunk down this Weaponized Pinata without giving it lifesteal. I think Dog's objective primarily was to stop the life gain from Rase because the Zilliax was so impactful.
This would be a good time for
And this is why we were talking about the importance of Zilliax. It's that it gives you the ability to extend the game significantly. And now Dog most likely is going to give 7 more life here back to Rase.
And with Dr. Boom Mad Genius in hand, Rase is going to be at a very comfortable life total.
Yes, not ideal by any means for Dog. Rase now has an opportunity to play Dr. Boom Mad Genius or fight back for more tempo.
Eternium Rovers are in the deck, Dan.
Prince Liam.
Prince Liam. More chances for Archivist Elysiana.
Well, I mean, it's true.
Yeah. Or just more chances for legendaries that could have a significant board impact.
Right.
One of the ways you can pressure is by gaining like huge amounts of tempo, building a big board, and putting Dog into a position maybe in the late game where he can't play Archivist Elysiana or he dies. Rase still has a lot of his bomb cards left. He's really only played a Clockwork Goblin. So he's got a very powerful hand. He's ahead on resources. He's even in life.
Oh. Well, yeah. Another way for him to gain life.
And just put a big thing on the board. Rase just saw that Dog struggled to deal with the 7/5 Weaponized Pinata. Knows that he didn't get Omega Devastator from the Omega Assemblies because he would have played it. So free to kind of play this Boom Reaver and say, you got to kind of find a way to answer this.
War Gear, Brilliant Nullifier, Boom Reaver. Just straight gas across the board here for Dog. Clever use of Kaboombot, being able to guarantee the death battle dealing damage directly to this minion. Dog just trying to squeeze out value through the smaller minions and see if you can Preserve things like the Nullifier and Bulldozer and Boom Reaver for the bigger dramatic swings. In this case, Rase no longer going to wait. Gets the Genius. Even gets a Zap, which is a nice little immediate use of the hero power. Shield block here for Dog. So now that Genius has been played from Rase, Dog playing the Boom Reaver and Bulldozer isn't nearly as strong because his opponent can rush it down. So maybe he just goes for a slower build-up.
Can play Brilliant Nullifier here onto this Eternium Rover, kind of try and build a big minion that's hard to remove.
It's true. Rase does play 2 Brawls. Dog only plays 1. But if he doesn't brawl this, it's kind of hard to remove that 411 without a Mega Devastator. All right, let's go discover a minion. Wargear. Wargear's pretty solid.
I feel like there's a significant lack of Omega Devastators from Discovers in this game, Dan.
Well, it makes it a little bit more interesting for the board tension. It's less swingy, so less exciting in terms of the explosions. But Rase now gets to try and fight back for the board.
He goes Security Rover, trade. With the security bot thing, whatever it's called, that comes out of the Security Rover. And then try and stick 2 damage on the board or some damage on the board to be able to like Clockwork Goblin Wargear down this Eternium Rover. Beryllium Nullifier Hybrid. Oh my god, these words are so long and complicated.
Okay. Oh, I love that.
Agreed.
Security Rover, Eternium Rover, Beryllium Nullifier.
Yeah, those are all cards that are seeing play, and it's definitely tricky to say, TJ. I don't disagree.
Thanks, Dan.
I don't know what you want from me.
Just giving complete validation to my thoughts. TJ, I completely understand where you're coming from. Those cards exist, and yes, they are very difficult to say.
And yes, they are cards. Yeah, no matter how Dog slices, he's going to be vulnerable to a Mega Devastator setup. But the life gain here is not negligible. It's going to be very nice because Rase has yet to set up his own bomb chain. So the fact that Dog can get ahead in the life count now is also fairly important.
Yes.
It's the best play here for Rase. He wants to answer this board, doesn't want to fall too far behind tempo. But his best play is like a Wargear setup, right?
He's got Shield Slam for the Boom Reaver. So that's 1 mana. He can then Microbots. Wargear, that's 8. Doesn't quite reach the Eternium Rover.
Weapons Project.
And then Weapons Project, but he doesn't have enough mana to do... Oh, he does have enough mana. It's exactly enough mana. That's 8. So that would reach it.
I definitely like Shield Slam on the 7/7. I think that's where we work backwards from.
I mean, you can leave up the Beryllium Nullifier for more turn. It's a very defensive card for Dog, but it's not a significant damage source.
It's just giving more armor. Wow. That's definitely something that I'd be very afraid of. Just given that having your opponent that has a bunch of armor nullifies your bombs. It's almost like your Clockwork Goblins are actual 3-mana 3/3s.
Yeah. What he's doing here is he's trying to make sure that his Wrench Caliber or his Clockwork Goblin can charge into the Beryllium Nullifier or Clockwork Goblin Wargear if his Princely Immortal die.
Yes.
All right, so now Rase has... so that was an Eternium Rover.
I mean,
That's terrible.
That's not great, and that's a new card that came out with the Dalaran Heist. It's Zale, Cloak of Shadows, which is very similar to Whizbang the Wonderful, where you get to start with an evil deck. Evil, of course, just being the theme of it.
Yeah.
You're not an evil person for playing Zale, although I don't know you personally, whoever you are. And I don't know your moral compass, so I guess I will abstain from going further.
You're not necessarily evil from playing Zale,
Yes.
but
Job's done.
we can't judge you. You could be evil. But if you are, it's not because you played Zale. Still one more legendary in the deck. Interesting. That was the only... Oh, there was 2 bombs in Dog's deck, so that's one of them. There's 6 bombs in Race's deck.
Yeah, and Dog doesn't mind drawing extra because he has that Elysiana. War Gear?
Ooh.
It's just good damage. He can trade and add in War Gear to pressure.
And
There is a Blast Shield Shield Slam, but again, it's just like getting small life leads when the fact that Dog already is favored late to the game. I mean, Race draws a couple bombs here. He's already threatened of dying. And Race doesn't want to, like, shield block here. He doesn't want to, but I don't know how much more of an alternative choice he has with just his hand. Like, after this Wrench Caliber Augmented Elik push gets finished off, what's Race going to do?
Yeah, I mean, almost half his deck at this point is bombs.
Dog's at 52, and now down to 49. Looking not good here for Race. Dog has the Bulldozer ready to go. Trying to see if there's an alternative to the Bulldozer. I guess you could take it really slow with Warpath instead.
I think he is trying to figure out if it's worth playing the Town Crier. So I'm pretty sure he still has a Rush Minion left in his deck.
He played his second Militia Commander. Oh, he has his Zodiacs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think he was deciding if it was worth it to draw a card deeper.
I think so. I think it's fine.
And there's the second Eternium Rover.
3 mana 5/5 is much better than a 1 mana 1/3.
He was hoping for way more impact though from that Prince Liam.
That was given off of him. That was given off of a
This
weaponized
would be a
pinata.
good
I don't
time
think
for
you
a
can complain
master
too much.
plan.
No, definitely cannot. That was a lot of extra value that he gained from one card.
3 mana draw a card. That is a very expensive card draw source. And Race doesn't even have a very good way of clearing off this Bulldozer without taking 9 damage.
Yeah. Did Race play a Town Crier at any point in this game?
Yes.
Okay. So no more random legendaries generated by Prince Liam.
Job's done. Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Because he played
I
both,
might-
Shield Slams too, right?
Yeah, I might be mistaken. He was holding both shield stamps, yeah.
So there could be a Town Crier, but there's one on the list, so I don't think there's any other random legendaries.
Omega D. Dog doesn't even have to have, like, now that he's this deep, he doesn't actually have to play anything, but he could play the Dynamatic just to get board presence. Harrison Jones. I think Race might just go back to the bomb plan, but now Dog has Blast Shield. Like, these are things working against him. Maybe Dog, or maybe Race feels like he can Mukla and burn Dog's Elysiana. Maybe that's his hope.
Yeah.
But ironically enough, Race has
This would
also
be a
loaded
good
the
time
deck
for a
with a few
master
bombs.
plan.
So if he plays King Mukla, he's helping Dog defuse the bombs.
Yeah. There's still the chance for weaponized Pinata into something. There's still the chance for discovery of a Mechathune. That's the weird thing about these Warrior Mirror matchups. Even though one player can be behind for like much of the game, and the game can be effectively determined. So he's hoping for Elysiana. I mean, Race had this happen to him last week.
Dog's
Where-
like, what?
Fuse thing. Thanks.
Hey!
I'll destroy you last.
It's like, all right, well, thank you.
He's right. I mean, if I was playing this game on ladder, if I was only playing half attention,
Right.
I wouldn't have realized Prince Liam. I would have been like, wait, what?
Yeah.
He put a Mukla in his deck?
And then you like make all these kinds of justifications, like, oh, that makes sense. When
Wow, Mukla's so good in Boom Bomb
It's like,
Warrior.
yeah, in the mirror, you just like pressure them. They can't kill it unless they militia commander and
Yeah,
you're ahead.
they never have a minute. We're actually starting to convince me that King Mukla is good against Warrior.
Yeah, it's just pressure tools, right? Rase is very far behind. Gonna shield block again. Another bomb. It's just looking very bad. Another militia commander.
I think Rase, if I've been counting correctly, has 3 bombs left in his deck.
Dog draws the last bomb, but goes down from 50 to 45. Sorry, that was the last.
No, there's still. I think there's one more.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that would be the last bomb.
Yeah, I think there's one more.
All right, well then, that would be the last
Yes. He has a wrench caliber equipped.
All right, well then, that would
There
be
we
the
go.
second to last bomb.
There we go. All right, keeping his hand full.
Yeah, Dog has no reason to do anything. Can just wait for inevitability.
Yep.
Rase can play this Zale. Play Soleil. Shadow.
Dog's face. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
excuse me?
Dog's okay taking 3 this turn too. It really doesn't it doesn't matter. He can just chill.
Well, Rase is effectively at 8 life with 2 cards left. I think he has 2 bombs left in the deck, if I've been counting correctly. Now 1.
So on borrowed time, I'm not really sure what Rase can do in this position.
I think he's got to empty his hand and hope for Mechathune. I don't know.
Yeah, Dog's going for the Dog's going for the inevitability, and it's up to Rase to present something. I kind of agree. If he plays if he picks up the Mechathune now, he still has time to dump everything.
Yeah, the problem is Dog can just wait until he's out of cards, which is right now.
Right now.
And then shuffle a bomb in, and there's no time left. So even if he had emptied his hand, picked up Mechathune, he wouldn't have the time to play it and then get it killed, because Dog has even just 1 bomb card is pretty much enough to negate that.
Yeah, this is checkmate though. There's nothing that like Dog was going for the rear naked choke. Rase refuses to tap out, but he's completely unable to do anything about it. Actually, he has lethal.
That is lethal damage.
Clockwork Goblin gonna plant that bomb, and Rase goes down in game number 1. Dog up 1-0 in the Warrior Mirror.
Yeah. As we alluded to, even though Elysiana not coming into effect there, just the fact that it's there means that Dog has the option to do what he did at the end game there, which is just to pass turns, not play anything proactively, because it's on Rase to be the one to be proactive. So Rase has to expend his resources, Rase has to draw cards aggressively, and because of that, Dog's able to kind of cruise to a game 1 victory.
Yep, and then we'll see if, or rather what decks these players will shift to. I imagine Rase is going to double down on the bombs, so he's going to probably go for a secondary deck with Sephorian Bomber, Karen Grom, and Archivist Elysiana. Dog, I'm kind of liking this tertiary deck with the Azlina Soul Thief to add another layer of his late game.
Yeah.
It seems like that's where he's the most comfortable, and he also does have 2 more Sephorian Bombers as well, so that gives him the ability to curve just like he did last game.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, we're going to take breaks, and we come back, the second game between Dog and Rase.
Can't see a heart that is stony, and a totem that's all kinda bony. This witch in such danger will soon be no stranger, 'cause she's gonna be our new crony. We welcome you into this room, and we promise your enemies doom. Just one more who's coming. The last one I summon is a fella who makes things go boom.
My name is Kevin Casey Eberlein. A Grandmaster means to me that the last year of 2018 was a success. After having so much tournament success and getting to Grandmasters by most of the time just gaining points, gathering points and just performing well in tournaments means that I did something right. My goal was to get to the highest level of competition, and Grandmaster is the highest level of competition, and I achieved it, so I'm super happy. What I'm really good is at playing of muscle memory. So at the start of any meta game, the first week, I figure out the best decks, but I play them pretty poorly. So I just keep playing them till I actually know everything. And this is just, preparation is key. I don't only like Hearthstone, I love it, it's my passion. My life, like, it changed a lot since I started playing Hearthstone. I used to be really, really shy.
Really?
Yes. And then, like, after Thais, Crane talked to me, I just got a confidence boost. And from there I changed quite a lot. Try to be the best what I can get out of myself, and then I'm gonna be happy.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. Dog is currently up 1-0 over Rase. The winner of this series will improve the record. Dog, if he wins this and Monsanto loses, will be in first place for Division B, which would be really cool to see. I think, you know, Dog comes in as one of the most popular, if not the most popular player in the Americas region. And there's just a lot of eyeballs on him, both in and out of Grandmasters. And I think a lot of fans want to see him do well.
Yes.
But at the same time, Rase has a lot of support from the Latin American community, too.
Yeah.
So these are two players that have their own popular following from their local regions and fans around the world. Ray's he's gonna hope that I think his secondary deck here can really pull some big weight. And every time I see Karen against Warrior, I usually am very impressed with how much mileage it gets.
It does, yeah. It fights for the board a lot in that mid game, which is really important because of the changes to the deck lists, pressure is even more important. Even though Rase has put in Archivist Elysiana, it's weird because the first matchup, Archivist Elysiana, matters more. In this matchup, it barely matters at all because someone dies most of the time. That's what happens. And you kind of mentioned Reyes and, you know, representing Latin America. He's also the only representative for Brazil as a country.
You're right, we have two from Argentina. Yeah,
so that's a lot on his shoulders because Brazil is a massive community of players. We've seen a lot of Brazilian players you know, come and go in HCT in the days of yore in playoffs.
Days of yore.
So, yeah. So it's
what a time period in Hearthstone's history.
I know it feels like so long ago. Honestly, we have like 3 weeks of Grandmasters under our belt total.
The days of yours.
And I look back, you know, somewhat fondly on our days of HCT and those random 10K tour stops.
I felt really bad saying that after I tweeted.
I completely understood your point where you're coming from. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I know so much effort and time went into every single one of those tour stops, especially for the local ones, right? Like I know like the Korea team did so much work to put on HCT Seoul and Taiwan for HCT Taipei and Taichung.
Yeah.
And like all these other ones locally, it's just that the problem was that there were so many tour stops that people felt like it was just like another drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
But Grandmasters is where it's at, man. And I think that's what the culmination of Race's really hard work, because last year he was killing the HCT Copa America. Sorry,
yeah.
I was thinking Buenos Aires, but I think that's
Didn't he win 2 Copa Americas last year?
He did.
That's insane.
Or got to the finals of 1 and 1.
Yeah, that's insane. Players that won 2 tour stops, period, were considered to be among the top players.
Right.
Yeah, like
and Race did it very early on.
Yes.
And he didn't even get that many opportunities to travel. Like part of the reason why it was very impressive and cool to see Latin America be brought in was because they didn't get to travel to all the tour stops.
Yeah.
They're often limited by opportunity. Same thing with like Frosty, you know, over in Asia Pacific / Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Or even people who are from like Southeast Asia. They don't really get to go to like Americas and Europe to all those dream hacks to compete.
Yeah.
So definitely that's why it feels like Grandmasters and hopefully the Masters Tour can give people those opportunities as the time goes on.
Speaking of Frosty, I recommend everybody check out a clip earlier that was posted on the HS Esports Twitter account. Frosty in his match in Grandmasters for Asia Pacific earlier today had a turn 8 lethal with a Holy Wrath, picking up Shirvala with 16 cards left in his deck against Chunsu.
TJ, it wasn't just Holy Wrath with 25. It was the fact that he played Thaunos and then Holy Wrath?
Well, his opponent was at 25, so the Thaunos didn't matter, but still.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure.
Oh. I thought he was at 26, so
I'm pretty sure he was at 25. But still, nonetheless, a fantastic clip. Go share it with your Hearthstone playing friends, because that doesn't happen often. Actually, go share it with your non-Hearthstone playing friends.
I wonder.
But Dog has tempo advantage currently. Doesn't mean much. 2-2 and a 1-2 on the board. Initiated the War of the Gates.
Yeah. Azeroth was never the same. Until the Gate Wars began. The early game here from Rase, I think, is just kind of mapping out how he wants to utilize his curve. If he wants to play Seaphonian Bomber and get ahead, but knows that most likely Dog will be able to answer whatever he plays anyways. Bench Caliber, get that mana investment now. Seaphonian Bomber here looks pretty good as well. Seaphonian Bomber is just one of those cards that, like 5-mana 5/5s, or just 5/5 bodies in general, are tricky to answer. There's a lot of good 4 damage stuff. There's only a handful of cards that really effectively remove 5 health minions.
What now?
Militia Commander is one of them, but it's not that common. It's usually chunks in 3s and 4s. That being said, Warrior also has a really good answer in Dynomatic, so that's another problematic card for Race to think about.
What now?
If he doesn't want to, he can just go for the Town Crier.
I got a bomb for you.
Town Crier can pull another Rush minion, and then Dog reacts to that with Dynomatic, and then he plays Seaphonian Bomber. But the problem is, his Wrench Caliber doesn't get a clean swing unless he just kills off his 1/2.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily favoring one play or the other. I think this play is just fine, like as is, given that Race's game plan seems pretty straightforward, which is be aggressive with bombs. And then he has Research Project and Harrison Jones for the following turn to keep the pressure going. So I think that this is a good line here from Race. What I'm saying is these are the thoughts that are going through Race's mind, like how does my cards line up with his ideal removal? And if I pivot, what can he really do to punish this in case I don't play my best option?
Yes.
Now, Dog doesn't have the Dynomatic.
He does not. Like the nod towards it, though.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of your play of Weapons Project Harrison Jones next turn, one thing to keep in mind is that those are the only 2 sources of weapon removal that Rase has in the deck.
Right.
So while it is a very good play, you draw 3 cards, you develop a 5/4 and a 2 attack, 3 durability weapon, you are giving up your ability to destroy Wrench Calibers. But I think Rase, because of his aggressiveness with the bombs early, so he's labeled the aggressor, I would say. I think he needs more resources more than more disruption. Like he has more incentive to be proactive because he has 4 bombs in Dog's deck. He wants to find Blastmaster Boom. He wants to find more bombs. He wants to, keep Dog on the back foot.
Right.
And he doesn't care at that point about Wrench Calibers.
Yes, I agree. He has like you're talking about, he has the curve for the Karen Grom. He just picked up Augmented Elic, which is like another thing that helps him lean towards being a little bit more aggressive. So Rase has this opportunity now. I guess he can save the weapon project in Harrison Jones after he's done dumping his hand in case he doesn't draw it naturally. He could fight back for board through the Militia Commander or Shield Slam in this spot. I don't think you want to use Shield Slam here because your opponent's already at full life. Usually you want to remove Ziliax cleanly without bumping your minions into it to avoid giving life to your opponent. Okay, interesting. So in this position, Rase wants to just try to maximize his full board dominance while he can before Dog has the opportunity to play either Blastmaster Boom or Dr. Boom Genius. Not that Dog even had much bombs.
So the problem with that is his board presence is almost exactly the same if he goes for Harrison Weapons Project that turn anyway. The reason why I think is because he wanted to get the Town Crier out of the way so he's not drawing rush minions. Because he didn't have mana to Town Crier.
Okay, yeah, no, that does make
Weapons
sense.
Project and Harrison Jones.
Right, he wants to get value off the Town Crier while he can.
Yeah. Also, this play lets him push 5 with the Sephorian Bomber, where the other play he would have had the Weapons Project attack into Ziliax and trade. He would have had a 5/4 and a 5/2 along with his 1/2, but he wouldn't have pushed that 5 to face.
Right.
So.
Yep. So it's better version of doing the Weapons Project Harrison Jones, and it's getting the accomplishment, which is Rase saw that Dog has been holding onto this card from the beginning of the game, so he thinks Dr. Boom Mad Genius is coming out, and now he can continue to put pressure on. Very nicely done by Rase. Now he has the Augmented Elic Sephorian Bomber, but he's 1 mana off. Does he still go for Sephorian Bomber anyways to just press in, or does he drop the Harrison Jones to draw 2 cards instead?
So Dog does not have Weapons Project himself, so he's got 2 Wrench Calibers. So Harrison Jones for the rest of the game would pretty much draw 1 card, because you can assume that if Dog plays Wrench Caliber, he's swinging with it the turn that he plays it. So it depends. Do you want a little bit more pressure on the board and another bomb in the deck? Or do you want 2 cards now to evaluate what your next turn can do? I like the card draw because I want to hit Blastmaster Boom quickly before Dog potentially draws into bombs.
Or just ways to add more damage, you know? I think one of the more important cards right now is Grom, Hellscream. Just be able to have that 10 damage burst and pressure Dog when the bomb inevitably gets drawn. Dog's in a tough spot here. He's lost the board, and he does have room to play defensively, but it's not as clean as he would like, you know? Like, Warpath doesn't clear everything. Militia Commander still leaves another minion on board.
He gave up a lot of tempo in order to play Dr. Boom. And it is a very good card, but it's very expensive, and you give up the board for a full turn, which is a risk that you have to be willing to take. Because Dog had ways to fight back for the board. He had Militia Commander. Right. He could have traded off the Sephorian Bomber and cleaned up the board a little bit and tried to set up for a better position to Dr. Boom, but he probably realized that maybe this is as good as it gets.
And it's interesting too because Dog was one of the people that I saw in the first week not play Dr. Boom on 7. Because he had because he had a better option to respond to the board and then play Dr. Boom later. One thing you have to kind of realize is that if you're going to play Dr. Boom Mad Genius and you're not holding a lot of mechs, then the battle cry is only going to be important for whatever you're drawing for the rest of the game, which is like basically top deck mode, because like Dog didn't have a Mega Assembly ready yet, right? Because he's trying to wait till 10 mana.
Yeah.
And that's a tough position to be in because you're fighting without half your hand. Dog's left 3 cards are unplayable for a couple turns even after Dr. Boom Mad Genius comes down.
Yeah.
So he's working on very limited resources, while Rase has a small window of opportunity here. And now with Augmented Alexiformium Bomber, he can shuffle 2 more bombs and push 7 damage right now. It's an option.
I wonder.
I like it. It's a max amount of board presence. And, you know, 1 in every 10,000, 20,000 games or so, you might even have lethal here.
I must choose.
I was wondering if the trade is the best play. One, it plays around still.
I don't know. 5 damage is a lot to miss, though. It's kind of like an extra bomb.
Yeah, also it doesn't play around Dynomatic. Because Dynomatic Zap would still clear off your board, you miss 5 damage.
True that.
And Dog has 1 Dynomatic, 1 Warpath, so the chance of both is equal.
Oh boy, big draw here from Rase.
Yep, he has 5 bombs in Dog's deck.
Do you want to just Blastmaster Boom and Warpath? I kind of like it.
We haven't seen that play very much because you're going to get the damage from the bombs pretty much regardless.
That's true.
He's seen a Warpath, so Dog's only way to deal with this is kind of Brawl. All right,
Bomb being drawn.
4 bombs left in Dog's deck. He has no way to... Oh, he has Kaboom. Okay. But Kaboom is like a death sentence.
I mean, on average, Dog died. Had Rase known Dog would draw a bomb. That's, of course, wishful thinking. But it's just one of those things to just show you how much damage is about to come in. Dog's hoping that Acolyte absorbs a lot of the 1 damage bombs. Ooh, it's a 3.
But he gets closer to bombs.
3. 7 to the face. 10. 13 damage to the face. Rase might even have just lethal this turn.
Yeah, I mean, Dog has 19 cards left, 4 of which are bombs.
Oh my gosh, Dog.
So it's like a 20% chance for a bomb next turn, a little bit higher.
He's covering his mouth. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost died.
I wonder.
Those boom bots, if you like to use even hindsight as 2020, it's like Rase absolutely crushing it this game so far. And I mean, I think he has an opportunity to even press him for more damage.
Yep.
A Clockwork Bomb and a Stealth mech, which is fairly important. The Coppertail Imposter having Stealth means it's hard for Dog to interact with that card. And Rase can add 1 more bomb into Dog's deck, which would be about a 4th of it at this point, a 4th or a 5th.
Maybe you don't even play Clockwork Goblin. Maybe you play Militia Commander Coppertail.
So don't give it a rush mech opportunity, or like lifesteal, or Vicious Scrap Hound or something like that.
Yeah. I guess Shield Slam, Clockwork Goblin, and Coppertail serves the same purpose. So 5 bombs to Dog's deck out of 20 cards. Woo! 25% chance. Dodges it for this turn.
Yeah, but he still has to deal with the Stealth mech. Shield Slam being used means that these minions that get attached a Bronze Gatekeeper is going to be more resilient. One thing for sure, though, if I'm Dog, I definitely want a Hero Power.
Yep, Hero Power, play your biggest mechs and give them
then.
taunt. So it would be Hero Power,
Probably a Clockwork Goblin.
Clockwork-
Harvest Golem, one of those two.
probably Harvest Golem because it allows you to fight back on the turn after.
Okay.
Um,
Yes. Would you go for it in Mega Assembly on the off chance you get Eternium Rover?
it's kind of awkward right now because
You'd be at full hand.
he could get Scrap Hound also.
Well, the thing about the full hand with the Omega Assembly is that
I love that fuse thing.
you don't take bomb
Okay,
damage.
then.
Oh, he could Harvest Golem, Bronze Gatekeeper. No, he couldn't Mega. How many cards?
You would have the Mega Assembly now and not do it.
Yeah. And then he'd die to a Magnetic on the other side.
He's got tempo tools, but nothing beyond that. Bomb damage taken from Rase here.
That was the only bomb in his deck.
So Rase can destroy this and push 4. Actually can magnetize, he's lethal.
Yeah, that's lethal. Yeah.
It's the extra damage from the missile launcher.
Yep.
Gonna wrap it up.
Doesn't even need the extra bombs. Still 5 bombs left in Dog's deck. So a very one-sided game, and
it's the pressure. The more I watch this matchup, it really feels like it comes down to tempo. And like, yes, you can definitely play Dr. Boom Bad Genius, and it is a very crucial card.
Yeah.
However, you have to time it very delicately, or accept the risks that you're going to fall very far behind, which is kind of what happened to Dog. Stuck in a position where he wanted to be a lot slower and defensive and greedier, but by doing so, gave a little bit too much room for Rase. And like you said, Rase didn't have all the bombs detonate, only just a small portion of it. More importantly, it's the C4 bombers and the Harrison, and just enough damage to get over the hump. Had Dog had room to stabilize, maybe it's a different game, and then Race's aggression gets completely thwarted.
yeah, it's kind of brutal for Dog because his opening hand was like Archivist Elysiana double Mega Assembly.
Yep.
Those are like your late game insurance cards against Warrior. They're not the cards that often determine that matchup.
Right.
And you'd think, well, why don't they cut Archivist Elysiana if it doesn't matter? Well, it does matter
You
because
need to have it.
you need to have it because you need to opt for the game plan. And I think the biggest thing that it does is allow you to destroy bombs for your deck. It doesn't like the games don't go to fatigue very often, but like let's say you have 3 bombs left in your deck with 5 cards.
Elysiana.
Elysiana, you gain that health back. You get a little more time. You develop a 7/7. Dog just couldn't get a foothold in that game.
Right.
And Rase did make some really good choices. Had the option for Weapons Project and Harrison Jones, but forewent that to push the extra 5 damage, and had the discipline saying, I'll sacrifice a card draw with Harrison Jones to ensure I get the better draws from my deck and to ensure that I can push as much damage as possible.
All right, well, game 2 in the books. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, the conclusion of Dog versus Rase best of 3 for Division B.
Dalaran will be ours! Once we land, you know what to do! No we don't. You didn't tell us to play it. I didn't think I had to. It's perfectly obvious. Bank! I am to be robbing the bank! I take henchmen for vault smashing and shiny stealing! Plan is obvious! It's a start, yes, but...
You won't get a single coin unless you take care of the city's guards. Let's rip open Violet Hole and unleash the prisoners on the city. That'll keep the guards busy.
Certainly, but that's not...
No! First, we must sow chaos in the streets.
I got rockets. Anyone need rockets? Try to see the big picture. Shiny, shiny, shiny.
We have to break their will before we can loot, you fools!
Please, everyone, please. Let's strap some rockets to this city.
Oh, big candle.
And then we just take the whole shebang wherever we want. Yes! Finally, you're exactly right.
Seriously?
That's dumb.
Weak candle. Just wait till second gear kicks in. Yes! It's just like I said. We're going to take Dalaran for all that it's got. It's a genius plan. It's simple. It should have been obvious. And absolutely nothing will go wrong.
So, genius, how do we land?
My name is Alexander Malsh. You might know me as Colento. My username Colento is kind of random. I just took it from the MMORPG I was playing. It was the name of one of my characters. My favorite moment in Hearthstone is probably when I won the Midgame House Cup. It was one of my first tournaments I won, and it probably was the first LAN I won, so it felt very special. So as for Grandmasters in general, I really like to play against people I know personally and I met before. I have respect for them. I think competing will be fun. Being in Grandmasters is a big honor. It's just a proof that I'm a part of best players in Hearthstone. It's not like I need it so much, I just know it myself, but it still feels kind of nice. I'll just perform well at Grandmaster League. I'll try to keep streaming, and I just want to spend the rest of my time having as much fun as I'm having doing my hobby.
Dog versus Rase, staying on the same decks, going to game number 3. Dog with a win here would be in commanding position to take the division. He will be at a 4-1 score. Of course, would have to wait for Monsanto to see if he can win or lose and grab number 1. Rase, in the meantime, trying to improve his record as he is right there in the middle of the pack and would like to make sure that he has a fighting chance for the playoffs. For those of you who do not know, we are taking the top 3 from each division of 8 players and advancing them to a playoff bracket in week number 8. Let's go into game 3. Once again, ooh, both players starting off with the Dr. Boom Mad Genius. Both having that Clockwork Goblin starts. And the more I see Harrison Jones being played in this matchup, the more I think that's a very important card too, because it helps keep your ammo going, and more importantly, it like keeps you developing onto the board very proactively, which is something that I like. Dog, he's not playing slots, but I see a 777 across.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Is that good? I'm not asking that ironically.
Think so?
I'm asking that very seriously. Like,
Dr. Boom's good and Blastmaster Boom is good, but we saw this matchup is about tempo and having the ability to be proactive.
you already see a difference in philosophy. Rase kept the Clockwork Goblin and Dog threw it away.
Yeah.
Even though they both offered relatively similar options.
Yeah, I'm looking at these lists, and Dog has a few extra things that he'd like to mulligan for. Rase took out double Eternium Rover, and he only has 1 Town Crier in the deck. Whereas Dog has double Town Crier, so I think he was trying to mulligan for that.
Right. I mean, Town Criers are very important. Too.
Very important, you know, early chip damage, getting 1 card deeper into your deck. It's the additional cycle. Dog also has Acolyte of Pain in his tertiary deck, whereas Rase has removed it. So maybe looking for one of those two. Try and have that early card draw. Gets Clockwork Goblin back anyway, so these hands are very similar.
Yeah.
Clockwork Goblins on both sides, so Mega Devastators on both sides, Dr. Boom on both sides. Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
So Rase has the option of coining out the Wrench Caliber or going for his own Clockwork Goblin. If he plays Clockwork Goblin, he's accepting that Dog might be ahead in tempo for a large portion of the game, because Dog can Wrench Caliber and then push, or he can Militia Commander and then push damage. The Wrench Caliber stops the Clockwork Goblin from attacking his face for the next couple turns.
Yeah, because let's say he plays Clockwork Goblin, Dog Wrench Calibers it himself, so Dog pushes the 3 and then pushes an extra 3. If Rase coins out Wrench Caliber now, Dog doesn't have a great way to respond. Similarly with Militia Commander, so I think all signs point to coin Wrench Caliber. Because you don't want to give Dog like the initiative of being able to answer and then swing back for more efficient damage.
Dog doesn't have a play lined up for next turn outside of Shield Block or Mega Devastator, so he plays this 4-mana 4/5 for tempo, and now Rase has to answer, and Dog's going to be like, please don't have Militia Commander.
Well, he doesn't, and then our Rase is going to play his Omega Devastator and say, please don't have Militia Commander, and Dog doesn't.
And then finally, all of those people who are on the internet that wished for a simpler time of Chillwind Yeti hitting Chillwind Yeti. Remember, everyone talks about it, they're like, oh, I remember in Hearthstone Vanilla where we had Chillwind Yetis and that's all, and with Harvest Golems, that's all we fought with. Well, there you go, you get your wish. Assuming Rase does that. Now, he could also try to go for a fancy play and go for Clockwork Goblin instead, because he anticipates that Militia Commander might come out, in which case the Wrench Caliber swing is the same either way.
I still think if that was the case, I'd go for a Mega Devastator. I don't know. It's tough. It is tough. Because if you play Clockwork Goblin and Dog did have the Wrench Caliber that you played around last turn, then what? Then you die.
So Mega Devastator face off.
And a swing face with Wrench Caliber.
Ah, interesting.
I think he wants, if Wrench Caliber does come out, he wants to be able to Weapons Project it or Harrison it.
Yeah, that's also fair.
I think with Harrison in hand, Weapons Project just has a lot of value innately. Like next turn, he could play Weapons Project Clockwork Goblin, kill off the Omega Devastator, and then follow that up with Harrison Jones.
Second Clockwork Goblin coming in for Dog's hand. Last Master Boom is now at 4 boom bots.
For both players. Ooh. Whew.
That is really good. That is such a good draw. Wow, I'm kind of blown away right now, TJ. That was really impactful. Dog does not have an answer to it. Ray should know that Dog does not have Militia Commander. The only thing that he could be afraid of is a Ziliax right back.
Whew, what an incredible experience that draw was.
Ziliax actually wouldn't even answer it because it'd be a 6 attack minion. It means at a 7/7.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time arguing against this.
Oh, face.
Yeah, there's no way you go face there, unfortunately, even though I'd love to. And now,
I don't
Chill
know.
and Yeti's become a 4-mana 7/7, TJ.
If you go face, you play around. Nothing. Sorry. I was thinking shield block, shield slam, but you just trade in the 3/3 shield block, armor up, shield slam, and then you have a 4/5 on board. Now Dog would be at 7 less life,
Now.
but you'd have a 4/5 on the board instead of a 3/3, which could be difficult to deal with. I don't know.
Steel Rager! Oh! Not gonna play around that one. Rase is like, oh, come on, man.
I mean, that's an Omega Assembly used for 1 card.
That's true. Now Race is ahead in resources just from that alone.
Oh!
Cleared off the top. Race.
Mwah!
Oh man, that was an amazing draw.
Mwah! Buongiorno, Principessa. That's hello, princess in Italian.
Cairn al dente. I'm tempoing over here.
I was waiting for it.
Oh man, this is still a lot. Now Cairn shuts off Dynamatic plays.
Can Weapons Project Harrison Jones and just take the damage. Try and set up for pick up something like a Shield Slam for next turn to couple with Dr. Boom Mad Genius. Create some board tension, Dan. That's what I need in my life right now. Some tense board states. Minion on minion combat. Like the good old days.
Yeah, of Chill and Yetis.
Chill and Yetis
versus Ancient
Harvest
Watchers.
Golems, Spectral Knights.
People have the audacity to be like, yeah, and Hearthstone was like a game of pure skill back then. And I'm like,
In simpler times, like, it feels like variance is even more prevalent. I don't know.
Right now, I'm saying that ever since that time, we've had way more complex decks than Ancient Watcher Druid. Let's just put it that way. But
Whoa,
that's neither here nor there. We're not here to debate
you talking crap about Ancient Watcher?
Don't get me wrong, I love Vanilla Hearthstone, but I imagine that in about 10 years or so, everyone's gonna be going like, Vanilla Hearthstone, please put the Vanilla Hearthstone servers out.
And to that,
And I'm gonna be part of that, and I already am loathing my future self.
And to that, I only have one thing to say, Dan. You think you do, but you don't.
Oh my god. Ouch, that laugh hurt my abdomen. Well memed, fine sir. How does Rase deal with this now? He has Dynamatic, so he can clear the board, but what's done is done. He's taking some damage, and now he's giving Dog initiative.
Still has the resource advantage, but that doesn't really mean much with Azalina Soul Thief, honestly, because Dog can like empty his hand and then just rip Azalina.
That's nice.
Oh yeah,
dude, and then,
that's the juice.
I mean, look at Race's hand. Let's say he plays reactively in this position.
Then.
Okay, if you're Race, do you play the Clockwork Goblin here? I think I might. Because it's better to trade that in than the 3/4.
Oh. Do you try and save some base damage and kaboom? Oh.
What was that chuckle?
Because imagine. Oh, Del 4!
Aww. Ouch, that hurts for Rase.
Yep. Is he just going to Azalina now?
His hand's not that promising.
Oh, wow. I mean, Race's hand is significantly better than Dog's.
He would be very happy if he gets to do so. And Dog also, the nice thing about Azalina is that you get new resources without having to draw deeper into your deck, which is something that Dog was considering.
You also get information.
Yes, and in a game of hidden information, that's powerful.
Yeah, and Shield Block Warpath, not particularly good in the matchup.
Yeah, Warpath stinks.
Towncar can be good, but...
This would be a good time for a master player.
Towncar is good because of the Ziliax swing, but he doesn't need that. Right now, he wants to take the board, and his best board play is Militia Commander Town Crier. And I think Dog says, I think I'd rather just have Azalina in play.
And if he draws his own, like Elysiana...
Oh, and it's so smart, too, because he gets a Mega Assembly for following turn. And he gets more card draw to stay even if Rase plays Weapons Project himself. Rase is so unhappy to see this. This was expertly timed and logicked out by Dog.
Yeah.
Very well done.
And Rase picks up Wrench Caliber, which is a fantastic way to get this Azalina Assault Thief out of the way. Shovels more bombs in the deck, but he knows that there's both Weapons Project and Harrison Jones in the hand for Dog. So...
Okay, then.
And yeah, I mean, at this point, outside of the Wrench Caliber, both players have their cards face up. And I gotta admit, the more I see Grandmasters playing the Azalina Soul Thief and like their timing of it, the more I realize I should not put this card in my deck because I am not timing it well. These guys use so much deduction in order to narrow down when's the best timing, and it's almost spot on every time.
Yeah.
And it's like very eerie how that works, you know? It actually even makes me go back to something that Firebat was telling me on Omnistone. He said information is power, but also information is overrated because people aren't using enough deduction skills to understand what's happening anyways. Like, you know, that's one of his criticisms against Madame Lazul.
Yeah.
He was like, Madame Lazul is great for all the discoverer of your opponent's card, but the information is overrated. And I was like,
yeah.
And me and Kibble were arguing for a long time on the show.
Well, especially for like non-top level competitors, right? Because if you spend too much brain energy trying to decipher what your opponent may have, you're not spending enough brain energy using the information you've gained of deciphering what they have to make better plays based on what they have.
I mean, the game, if you just pay attention already, is giving you a lot of clues on what's happening.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Dog going for the Harrison removal play that we're talking about, but now he's ahead on board. And more importantly, Rase, if he plays Harrison Jones, is fighting from behind because he's developing second. Militia Commander's okay. I think Rase's going to start off with an Omega Assembly by him on his own, and then hope for some good removal tools. I think in this case, Dynamatic or Omega Destroyer would be good. Alternatively, he could Harrison Jones, but if he plays Harrison and draws his own Dynamatic, that becomes problematic. Because his Harrison would be liable to get into the range of fire.
That belongs in a museum.
Still has Militia Commander as a backup option.
If he has to play Militia Commander, then he gives up on the ability to play the Microbot. Oh, Spring Rocket! Now he... Oh, nobody still can't play Microbots.
Yeah, but the Microbots is a lot less useful because Dog has Kaboom.
Ah, yes, true.
So sticking 1/1s on the board is not as important here. This was the right decision from Rase. Bomb drawn. Does Dog have 3 Elix in his hand? He has one on the far left, one in the middle, and one in the end. That's pretty...
Yes.
Dynamatic. I think
This would be a
Dog
good
can
time
also
for a
just
master
establish some
plan.
board presence through an elephant here.
Yeah, doubling up on Alex is not as effective as doubling up on bombs.
Yeah.
Just because an extra Alex shuffles 1 bomb in, whereas an extra Clockwork Goblin shuffles 2 bombs in with the Alex. So
That's fair. This is maximum board tempo from Dog, trying to put out as many stats as possible. 9 power showing.
yeah,
Rase has a Warpath clear. That's the first thing I'm looking at. And again, Warpath is a difficult card to use. So
This
I'm always
would be a
down to
good
find
time for a
good use of
master
it. That
plan.
said, Warpath is useful with Grom Hellscream. So is there an alternative we can do here that's better? So for example, we have Security Rover. Security Rover can bump into the 3/4, 2/3 goes into 5/5, you hero power, and then you can Weapons Project. That's okay, but then you're also accepting your opponent gets a guaranteed board clear because he has the weapon and he has zap right back. So that's not as good as well.
yeah. I honestly think this might be the best opportunity to use Warpath.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too.
Yeah, you can always get like a zap to activate
I
Grom.
love that fuse thing.
Looks like he's favoring the Security Rover play.
Okay.
Okay, so he's splitting the difference here. Trying to add more board tension. He heard TJ's request for more board tension in his life.
That's a weird hand. Seriously, Lannister would love this hand.
Wow. Spoilers.
If that's a spoiler, I don't know what you're doing with your life. That gives 0 information.
Okay,
That's
then.
so vague.
Yeah, you're right. It is pretty vague. It could mean a lot of things.
Yep.
So me saying spoiler actually indicates it that
Yeah, you.
I-
Spoiler alert to you, Dan.
touche. Dog going for the damage Tigatron, trying to collect value off of it as well as the suspicious scrap out. Just getting some of these more awkward resources out of the way.
Yep.
Utilizing it as removal spells. I do like this push for 5 damage before the trade. Dog recognizes what's important. Go in face. Clockwork Goblin, that is 4 bombs potential being shuffled in for Rase with... Oh, it's not full removal quite yet.
Yeah, and one of the things we didn't point out with the Azalina is Dog gains the information advantage because he knows what Race has, but more importantly, what he doesn't have and what he hasn't played yet.
Oh,
Whereas
you're right, yeah.
Race has no idea what Dog got rid of with Azalina. You can't
Yes,
search because
that's
you
a
can't.
good point.
I'm pretty sure you can't look in the sidebar to show what they've discarded.
No, Azalina won't show you what Dog discarded from his hand, so he doesn't know
This
if
would be a
Dog
good
lost,
time for
you
a
know,
master plan.
Brawl. Doesn't know if he lost Shield Slam, things
Yeah.
like that.
Like the play that he made last turn with the Security Rover, played around Warpath a lot because he protected his Security Rover behind a taunt. But Dog discarded his only copy of Warpath with Azalina. So like things like that where Race may make a quote-unquote suboptimal play, not saying that his play was suboptimal, because he's trying to play around Warpath.
Rase getting a very fortunate Omega Devastator. Ooh, Wrench Caliber. I mean, that just looks good with the Augmented Relic here for Dog.
Yeah, he knows that there's a weapons project still in hand from Race.
Right, that's true.
But he's got to find a way to get use out of these Alex sometime or another.
Right. I mean, the Elic compensates for the Wrench Caliber second swing. And
Sure.
Okay, then.
And if that's the case, you'd play the one on the far left because that was the one that you picked up from Azalina that Race knows is there. It's very incremental, but might as well go for the min-max.
Okay, then.
I agree. Yeah, it's still looking tight either way, and you know Race does have those aggressive options through Grom, so I'm still giving the edge to Race in this position.
Ooh, foregoing the Blast Shield to shuffle an extra bomb in.
Okay, so 3 bombs.
So Rase now has 6 bombs in his deck. Five.
Rase already used Ziliax, by the way. That's an important notion. That's something that I was actually thinking about in the previous game, where did Dog play Ziliax a little bit too aggressively on the board? It's one of those cards where it's so good as a comeback tool, and also messes with their bomb math and probability that it's fairly impactful to hold on to it, even if you can play it to get onto the board early.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know. You know, I can't recall a situation exactly off the top of my head, but it's something to account for. Militia Commander should be able to help answer everything here with the weapons project. And then, does Rase want to play the Clockwork Goblin or Blast Shield?
I think Blast Shield. He's at a health disadvantage right now because he has more bombs in his deck. Don't think you can pass up on that opportunity. And
with the assembly though, and the delivery drone, Mega Devastator, Dynamatic, and Boom Reaver. These are all great cards. Dynamatic is more immediate because you get to shut down everything cleanly. Omega Devastator is for future removal. Boom Reaver is for future tempo.
Wow.
This is not an easy answer.
No, Omega Devastator is like the kind of the catch-all because it is just a big minion.
It's universally very good.
Hecklebot!
What if he pulls Elysiana?
Oh no!
Okay, well he removes a bomb from the deck.
Yeah.
And he still has Shield Slam here.
Woo! Rase,
Look at his face! Rase was so worried.
I mean, he has had some rough goes of it in the past few weeks. Last week against Monsanto, filled up his hand with double sap, and he overdrew Shirvala with Holy Wrath Paladin.
Yeah, his key cards have eluded him, to say the least. And all of a sudden, this Hecklebot is problematic for Rase to deal with. So he's just going to load up the board and allow Dog to magnetize onto it. This is where the Beryllium Nullifier can come into play. Actually, a Mega Devastator here is really good.
Wow.
He had a second one, too.
Yeah.
So this one, the naturally drawn one, he's going to show it.
Yeah. Dog is slowly pulling.
Yeah, he's pulling
very far ahead.
Look at how stressed Rase is. Like, all of a sudden, this tug of war back and forth with the resources is starting to go back to Dog, and he's fighting better for tempo. And because Grom has had the Leroy effect of just sitting in the bench until he finds a way to get in there, Dog's finally climbing back, slowly but surely.
Even has the audacity to play an Acolyte of Pain.
Before that Omega Assembly that Dog drew, Dog looked like he was struggling, and now it's the opposite. I wonder if Ray's just going to brawl this right now.
He can brawl it, or he can Grom with the Microbots. Grom with Microbots allows him to clear out both Hecklebot and the Omega Devastator, because he has the Weapons Project equipped. But he's taking 3 extra damage if he goes for that play. Goes down to 18 life.
The added benefit is that this shuts down the card draw from Acolyte if it dies.
Yeah. Okay, wins the brawl. Shuts off Dog's ability to magnetize, unless he wants to do it on Alarmobot.
But now he's kind of all in, which is something that Dog is very happy to see.
Yeah.
Dog, just with Militia Commander Hero Power alone, is going to win the board.
Yeah. A lot of bombs in Dog's deck, though. That's 4 left now.
Oh my gosh, 3!
3 left now.
What the heck? Now Grom is a real threat.
Grom Warpath. Grom Warpath with the Weapons Prize, that's 12 damage. So if Dog takes any more damage, even just 1 point, he's at a risk of just a bomb ending the game unless he can find some life gain.
Yeah, this is intense,
yeah,
to say the least. Dog still has Ziliax in this deck, I believe. That is the one caveat to all of this.
No Omega Assemblies left. He used one early on for the Steel Rager to kill off the Ziliax to Omega Assembly. Got a second one from the Azalina from Race's hand, and then played the that third one. This would be a massive Omega Devastator if he were to pick it up. That's his only way outside of 5 Warpath and a Weapons Project swing. And if he goes for Delivery Drone and doesn't hit something to deal with this Brilliant Nullifier, then he does not kill.
Yeah, and the breakpoint is just outside the range.
He can also Grom, Shield Slam his Grom. Because he has 2 armor.
Oh, huh. That's
to clear it off. It would leave it vulnerable to a Dynomatic, and of course a Mega Devastator and Militia Commander. Honestly,
so everything.
Pretty much everything. It just leave it vulnerable, and Race has to really go into the tank here and think, well, what's my game plan? Do I need to rely on him drawing more bombs and then going with Grom Warpath?
I like Grom getting the damage now, and then hope that your hero power shifts next turn to a damage hero power
to zap,
and then hope that he draws bombs.
Okay, this is smart play.
Yep, I think this is the line.
3 bombs out of 12.
So 25% chance to draw a bomb. Doesn't draw it. Ray sees that it's not, but he still has a chance. But he gets a Microbot hero power, and that's not what he needs. Dog is like, oh my gosh, I could die.
So Race is trying to hope that Dog, he dodges the Blast Shield from Dog, and he's hoping that he draws a damage hero power or that he gets a string of bombs.
Well, here's the thing. What if Dog loads up so much board presence? Like,
can he set up a 2-turn lethal?
For Dog?
So yes. So this goes face, 18 health left.
And then Sephorium Bomber.
And then Sephorium Bomber.
So that is maximum damage.
And then he would have 5 bombs in Race's deck. So 5 out of 11 cards. That's almost half. So he would have 10 damage on board. 1 bomb would set him up if he plays 1 more minion alongside of it, which is a Mega Devastator. So it'd be 12, 13, 14 damage on board. There's the 1 bomb breakpoint that he needs.
And these Shield Slams are dead.
These Shield Slams are very dead.
And so...
Well, there's Shield Block left for Race.
Okay. The Shield Block also has a chance of just getting another bomb.
Yes.
You said half his deck are bombs, so he's...
Nearly half his deck after this turn would be bombs. There's 5 bombs out of 10 cards. If I've been counting correctly, which I'm pretty sure I have been, I've been pretty diligent.
I don't know. Elysiana! To replace the bombs in his deck, but then he's losing tempo, and there's 5, 8, 12...
He's alive by 1.
15 powers showing.
Alive by 1.
But alive by 1 feels like you might as well be on the verge of death because...
He has no other options. He can't even clear off any of these minions. He has to Elysiana. This is pretty much as good as it's going to get.
Okay,
half of his deck is bombs right now.
Elysiana can give him heal, like Nozari's a paladin dragon.
Cairn.
Dr. Boom at Genius. That's life gain. Warpath to help clear the board. I'll take that.
Soul Thraze could give him lethal. Emberscale Drake.
I'm taking Dragon Roar.
Oh, that can get Emberscale Drakes.
I want, well, it can get Emberscale Drake, but I think you need a Nozari. Like, I think that's how ridiculous this game has gotten to this point.
Eccentric Scribe, it looked like he took. Soul Thraze, Dragon Roar, Eccentric Scribe, Dr. Boom Care. That is a significant Elysiana. I don't think it'll matter because I'm pretty sure this game's going to be decided by like a turn. He's hoping for no damage. Dog needs 1 damage. Ziliax!
And that's going to wrap it up. Dog takes the series 2-1. So tightly contested both ways. But I got to say that the Grom play on that Race took, absolutely the right call in that specific situation to try and go for a potential lethal. Didn't work out this time. But at the end of it, Dog is 4-1, sitting in 2nd place firmly in WT.
Yeah, I do love the play from Race. He puts Dog to 6, which means he has a Zap or Kaboom hero power plus 1 bomb for lethal. But Dog, just keep it up in tempo. The Azalina, the call to play that Azalina on turn 9, very early on to the game, recognizing that his hand was clogged up with bad stuff, that Rase probably had better stuff, worked out for him. He got the value, which gave him the tempo, which gave him the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that with Dog's win, and if Monsanto loses, I don't believe Dog and Monsanto have played yet. I could be mistaken, just from the flurry of matches that we've had. But when they do, whoever has the head-to-head will have the edge. So our last match to pay attention to with Monsanto, we'll see if Dog can get first place in division. And that's a really exciting thought, because most people consider Dog to be a streamer first, but he is also a competitor. And he was saying on stream that like part of the reason why he even wants to play in Grandmaster because he still loves competing.
Yeah, and Dog pretty much got his start in streaming because he was a competitive player. Back in the day, used to watch him with a couple hundred viewers just streaming Ramp Druid.
I remember.
Ramp Druid nonstop. Rank 1 legend all the time with good old Ramp Druid.
Yeah, Innervate, Show, and Yeti. Such simpler times, TJ.
Sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I miss it.
Let's go ahead and talk to Dog. He's on the line. Dog, you there?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the games, how it broke down there, beginning with one of the cooler plays out there, which was the Azalina. Just walk us through the thought process. Obviously, we have our own theories of why you deduced it was a good timing, but just want to hear from your brain.
I just didn't really have anything that put pressure on him, and all my cards just cycled, but it didn't really matter if I cycled because I could just take his cards. And he also knows I ran Azalina, so he's going to be dumping his hand as quickly as possible. So, like, it was like the only time I felt like I could use it. Plus, like, if you Azalina there and he happens to have an Archivist, you kind of just win in fatigue because you'll have 2 Archivists in your deck, right? Because I didn't get rid of my Archivist. So, Azalina is, like, pretty good in Warrior with Archivist because you can dump your hand as quickly as possible, and then they have to play to your pace. So, it's cool.
Yeah, so did you feel going into the tertiary deck battles here, or sorry, he had a secondary deck, but did you feel favored even though he had some of those more like stickier options that are problematic like Karen to deal with?
I think I was favored. It's kind of interesting because I think you want to draw cards in the Warrior Mirror. Like, I'm pretty sure double Acolyte's really good. I was only running 1, but like Azalina kind of fixes your hand a lot of times, but you kind of need to draw until you hit boom. But if you saw, like, we were kind of running out of stuff to do.
Right.
And I think you always want to, like, just be playing stuff always, and they always have to have an answer. And it's really hard for them to always have an answer if they're not drawing. So
yeah,
I think you're supposed to just, like, put a lot of card draw. But yeah, I like the Azalina in my list. I like that he left in both Dynamatics. Most people cut the Dynamatics in their secondary deck, but it's actually really good because everyone texts in, like, Sephorian Bomber and Karen, and those are, like, really good targets for Dynamatic. People are like, oh, it's all mechs, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like the only target for Dynamatics, so
Yeah.
it's very effective there, for sure. You have any questions, TJ?
Yeah, I just you kind of gave a few thoughts there with the Acolyte Pain analysis, but you have had a couple weeks of Warrior Mirrors under your belt now. How do you feel overall about the matchup? Is there anything like pretty significant outside of that Acolyte Pain thing that you've noticed in the matchup that makes a big difference?
Oh, yeah, it's just all about not drawing the bombs. But yeah, there's nothing too much. I mean, just get Dr. Boom and play really aggressively, because the thing is, it's kind of like a value matchup or like a resource management matchup. But the thing is, people can't use their resources well if they're under pressure, right? So if they have to like waste a Warpath there or a Brawl there, or they have to like Omega Devastator 3/3, suddenly they're like behind on value. And yeah, that's about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, we've seen that happen a lot over the course of the weeks. You are 4-1, decisively in second place in your division. I mean, this is a really good start here, and I kind of want to ask you: did you expect to have like an early head start over the rest of the division, along with Monsanto over the rest of Division B?
I mean, I kind of just played the cards and it worked out for me. I mean, I prepared a decent amount with Frozen, although we mostly just theory craft. We don't actually jam games, which is probably bad. But yeah, I mean, it worked out. There's not much else to say about it. I didn't play that well today, but yeah, I think some of the things I do with deck preparation, me and Frozen, they like really give us an edge, and I think that's probably the most important thing.
It's true. I think specialist in terms of the preparation stage is like people are learning about it, and we're also starting to see separation from that. And every week, I think we at least Frozen shouts out. He's like, "Oh, he's like Dog gives us the best ideas, etc." But it's funny that you shout him out the other way too. So thanks for joining us, Dog. Congrats, and good luck on your match later this weekend.
Cool. Thanks. See you guys.
All right, so Dog with a 4-1 start, and very humble guy, very straightforward. Like, I'm just playing my cards, but there's obviously way more thought. And he said, I'm playing my cards, but I'm not even playing that well. So it's like, oh, gosh.
I don't even know what that means because I can't even spot like.
He's hedging like a good Hearthstone player.
Yeah.
He's saying that I'm not like some
This
super
isn't
amazing
even my
player,
final form.
but it's like I'm not like doing anything in particular special. I'm like getting good hands and just trying to play it out. But I know I can play better, so I'm not just gonna like make it seem like this game's a stupid and a coin flip type situation.
Yeah, wise, very wise.
Yeah, which is pretty much what you want to be doing as a player. Obviously, recognize when things are going well for you, but also look for areas of improvement. And with that, the stage is set for our final match. We have one more game between Nalgidon and Monsanto, so don't go anywhere. We're going to close out day number 2 here, week 3, when we come back to the Hearthstone Grandmasters.